Welcome back to Infinite Geek Talk, an ongoing conversation between your hosts, former DC Comics editor and owner of Infinite Heroes in Watertown, Connecticut, Paul Santos, who is joined by Keith Field, co-founder of Gorilla Valley Games and the owner of Rat's Nest Studios. Let's listen in.
For this, as we sit to continue this ever-continuing conversation, is the wake, the ebb, the flow, the flazzle, the flizzle of convention season, is it not, Paul? For I should define convention season as the close of the legendary San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, yeah.
But hours past the now seminal event in our neck of the woods, Connecticut, Terrificon.
Terrificon, yes.
Which I believe is enjoying its, what year?
Oh, man. It is, what year are we in? We're in 2022. Whatever year Agent Carter came out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Because I remember.
That many years old.
Yes, because I remember that she was like their big first Hollywood guest was Haley Atwell.
Lovely woman. So an exciting time, and one that involves us, for indeed, does not all that breathe from San Diego bear chatter in our conversation. And we went, as a force, Team Infinite Heroes sallied forward upon the Terrificon.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I thought it was a really good time.
It was a good day full of fun and adventure and not as much repellent stink as I was expecting. Agree or disagree?
It's a good show. It's not a local.
It was not a stink house.
Stink house, yeah.
And by stink, I mean literal stink.
Right.
I go to a con, I expect the poo-poo. And that was not the experience I had at Terrificon. I will not lie. I counted 2 situations where I was in the presence of an individual whose flatulence broke in my presence.
Oh, interesting.
And here's what makes it fascinating. Both females.
Wow.
Draw what calculus you can from that fart fact. But that is the first of many fun reveals that we will have.
Plausible deniability? Because you're in a room. If you're in a huge convention center,
I guess
that could be.
Maybe they paid to get in because they had to fart.
Maybe.
And if I remove myself from whatever organization they're there with, the Young Mennonites for Satan, and they figure, well, I can't go and fart among my fellow Young Mennonites for Satan. So instead, I will wear this odd cosplay, pay this amount of money, hide myself amidst the genre enthusiasts. Kaboom! The job is done. Return to the purity of the farm and the flame.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's a credible chain of events.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
That is my headcanon for what was going down on that front. Now, so yes, we went to Terrificon. We'll tell you all about it. And because it is convention season, I think we should start in the spirit of that which we look for from these conventions, because we're certainly not going there to buy comics. We have other resources for that.
Even San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's more about the genre. It's the extended multimedia genre, right?
I wish there was more comic book news. For those that don't know, like about 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, there was a lot more comic book news.
Right.
But now it's just been swallowed up with movie and TV news, which is kind of unfortunate.
It spiritually, I personally find it super duper unfortunate, but
yeah.
I'm not going to go off on a lunatic rant about it. I think by now everybody kind of gets it.
Yeah, I'm not.
There's a certain loss of innocence and a certain loss of that sense of like dancing with the person who brought you. That it's sad to know that these things are considered comic book conventions spiritually,
right?
And they become second.
And there is
what it is.
Yeah, there is.
What's going to keep the genre alive, the industry alive? You got to go toward
right.
Pulse.
But they do news. Like they're doing Batman Spawn 3.
That's true.
They're doing
I'm sure that's exciting.
They're doing a Spider-Man X-Men Venom crossover.
Now, see,
which will sell a lot. That'll actually sell a lot. Well, so will Spawn Batman, but the Spider-Man Venom X-Men crossover will do very well.
It's getting rolled eyes from a lot of people who don't necessarily trust in some of the talent overseeing some of these projects. I'm here to tell you that an evil Ben Reilly alongside an evil Matty Pryor doing Inferno things, and then Venom's there too because he is. That's very exciting.
Yeah,
to Keith Charles Field.
I think for me, it's
I
exciting.
would like 4 spoons of that, please.
Yeah, and it's exciting for me because I will actually sell a lot of that book.
Applause
for sure.
Applause to selling a little. So that was a cool announcement.
yeah.
I dug that.
The movie TV stuff was, I mean, it was half.
Well, let us. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was half stuff we already knew.
Yeah.
And the other half was stuff that no one cared about.
I was just gonna say, if I had a single word to sum it up, underwhelming.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that even things that you had not necessarily been explicitly or implicitly told, you felt like you already knew half the stuff they're saying.
Right.
Now, I actually think it would be worth, though, touching some of those San Diego announcements, because even as we record this, approaching 2 weeks after San Diego, spiritually, I feel this is our San Diego-themed episode.
Yeah, sure.
We should hit those heads of those different projects that are quote-unquote new announcements as of then, as we bridge our way to Terrificon. But before I can do that with a true sense of honesty on the behalf of our dear friends who listen to this virtual conversation, I think I have to share a terrible truth with them, Paul. And
what's that?
it's going to take some dexterity on my part, because as you know, we come here to do what others will not. We come here to love even our foemen. For those who we do not agree with, even Bendises, we welcome them in. We give them chocolate. We touch their bald head and assure them, here in a house full of bald men, you are the crown prince of good. Now sit back while I tell you what's wrong with everything you've ever written. And I think the tear that rolled from his eye would be one of thanks.
You would wipe it away with the $100 bills that he has in his pockets.
Yeah, he doesn't need me one way or the other, so just enjoy the chocolate, sweet Baldo. But I have to admit certain truths to our audience, that they be fully informed. And the truth is that before this wave of flag, before we speak of these conventions, several weeks ago, in fact, I saw a motion picture that shook me to the core of my being. A film that has actually changed the direction and gravity of my consumption of media forever. And while I'm not climbing on any soapboxes, that's not what we do here. And I'm not here to, suggest people take to the streets in an orgy of madness and violence in support of my twisted agenda, for I have none. I have to share this truth if the people out there are going to deign as to listen to my critiques, understanding, and pleas for sanity going forward from this day as they have up to this point. And Paul, this movie has forced this announcement that from this day forward, it is my intention, with as much spiritual dexterity as I can manage, and with as much a lack of hypocrisy as I can chisel from the sweet, gooey bread that is my heart, I'm going to make an effort to avoid the various Disney-branded film products that purport themselves to be the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Star Wars universe.
I was waiting for you to finish that whole thing because they've thrown Taika Waititi completely under the bus for Thor: Love and Thunder. So there is a whole
beautiful
apology tour saying that this is not what they're doing.
This is
Have
very
you not
important.
They
Pause right there,
Yeah.
just so I can quickly tell the audience. My friends, this has been a huge narrative in Paul and mine's shared entertainment life for a while now, for a variety of reasons, which we'll go into shortly. Over the course of the time since the release of this movie, there's been a lot of discussion of the fact that little Keith, done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe with no reproach, for I feel this movie was a weapon, an attack on imagination on one hand, but more likely, a signal of disdain from an enemy to mankind.
From what I've been able to see is that they let him. It's the Joel Schumacher problem, which I just came up with. Batman Forever came out and was a huge monster hit.
Correct.
So then they're like, we'll let him do whatever he wants for Batman and Robin, and then it ends in the worst movie of all time.
Big poo-poo stinker.
Right. So apparently the narrative that's coming out now is that Disney did the same thing with Taika Waititi, that Thor Ragnarok made so much more money than the first two Thors. They said, and they don't really know what to do with Thor.
Right.
So, and now special effects artists have said they will not work with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, these events have taken place live, moment by moment, in real time.
Yeah.
This is shaking me to my core. Understand, my friends, that this is such a hot button issue that you would have heard another episode between the last one you did here and this one last week if I was not so consumed by this issue that I traveled through myself into a place where there was only rage and I could no longer think as men think, only as a beast. The things that were said, the ideas. Oh, fucking Kate.
Yeah. So
and now here we sit and Paul reveals to us an asterisk.
Yes. So
my God, man, everything has changed.
He did a YouTube video with Tessa Thompson where they made fun of the special effects in the movie. So now various special effects houses say they are refusing to work with him because because I don't know if you guys know what crunch is in the video game industry. Crunch is when these companies force, I guess, the programmers to work 20 hours a day, 24 hours a day. So apparently
in
now
this
it's
new
happening in Hollywood.
minefield of an assault upon the old boys club of developer world, you're hearing a lot about it these days.
And I don't know as much about video games as I do movies. I know with movies, here's a little insider stuff. Special effects houses bid for work, kind of like construction companies bid for work.
Oh, yes, I've been hearing a lot about this.
They underbid because they want I want to work on a Marvel movie,
right? The prestige,
and they want it's more of a fan thing. There is some prestige. You get to say you worked on a Marvel movie,
of course. It builds your brand.
But a lot of these people are younger than us, so they're super. They are fans of the MCU. So what happens is they're crushed when they're like, you need to get this done in 3 months, and you have half the money that you should have.
That's what I've been hearing a lot of. A lot of content creators have been bringing that point up recently.
And this movie, and Thor Love and Thunder, I keep reading conflicting reports. It was filmed during the pandemic, or most of it was filmed during the pandemic. If you've seen the movie, no three people are in a room together.
Correct.
And it's very I find it noticeable. Very noticeable.
Paul, I could go on for an hour and a half, and I did a week ago about everything wrong with that movie. At this point, I'm simply going to say this. Whatever was chosen to be called Thor Love and Thunder is embarrassing when folks talk about it in terms of no, it's just fun, right? Fun and colorful, and you can shut off your brain. You're doing yourself a disservice, man. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me because I hate campy superhero films, so I did not like Thor.
You know what? I said that about Hawkeye. Again, I'm not going to rant like a maniac, but I will say this. Maybe we all start setting our sights a little higher, and you realize that,
Well, they've now said that
you deserve better than we're getting.
They've now said that the tone, for better or worse, of Wakanda Forever is what they're going to be shooting for.
Well, we'll see if that's a good thing or not. Because that's as good a time as any then to bridge to talking about Wakanda Forever.
But I understand what they mean by that.
Yeah, as do I.
Because in the next lineup of Phase 5 and 6...
Things are going to get slicker and more reverent.
Right. I cannot believe Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be jokey if Kang is in it. There's no way. There's no way that can happen. I hope not.
Well, if you'll remember, when we were talking about it the other day, I pinched my forehead and made my prediction based on virtually nothing of the entire plot of the movie.
Yeah.
And those in attendance said, yeah, that's probably what the movie is going to be.
Yeah, I'm not...
It's going to start with a humorous Act 1 in which we fight an oafish Bill Murray as MODOK. There'll be a tenuous thread to bind that to a larger story about time travel that will be more of a pedantic mystery. Kang will show up in the margins of that story, culminating in a fight in, say, Kang's throne room. Someone dies. Probably Evangeline Lilly. End of movie.
Because she's been...
Someone's going to die at the end of every movie, so that in 2 to 3 years, when the big reveal at the end of the announced end of... Or what, stage 5?
Six.
Kang Dynasty is. The gates of Valhalla open and every dead hero comes out.
You
and it's
really
the big army that turns the day. Yes, Paul, I
really
114% believe that is the big plan for the next phase.
I don't agree with that.
I think it's that transparent.
Yeah, I don't agree.
I think that's where we've fallen, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I hope there's fun moments in between that, if I'm still watching, based on how this Takiti situation rolls out.
I'm shocked. And
but I am done with Star Wars.
Right, well, that's different.
But that's a story for another day.
Yeah. I find it fascinating that Fantastic Four is coming out in November, because that is over 2 years away, which is way too long for an A-list movie. Because they have nothing after Black Panther.
Listen, I don't want to run too far ahead of Black Panther because I'm very excited for this movie. Because,
we'll go on Black Panther then.
You know, come on, Paul. I mean, Black Panther faced a lot of foes to get to its position here. I mean, the entire Disney machine was banking to release this thing not as Wakanda Forever, but by its original title. And that, of course, was Pepe Lorego Swims the Blues. It's the story of the daring... but timeless classic Marvel hero, Pepe Lorego, Central America's #1 metahuman swimmer, and his efforts to just bring a little sanity and love back into our lives by paddling around in the brine.
Yeah.
You've seen the previews, haven't you?
Yeah, that's...
Pepe has never looked more dynamic.
I've never seen such a confused marketing... thinking that's what people want to see in my entire life.
Obviously, in all of my mischievous spirit, I was just very excited to remind you all what this movie started off as. Pepe Lorego Swims the Blues.
Right.
But now that we're past that, now it is time for you to lead us into this, Paul, because we touched on it a few moments ago.
Yeah.
The tone of Wakanda Forever, indeed. And that's why I was quick to throw out a bit of a snort. Because they didn't show us a preview for a movie. They showed us a preview... for a funeral. When old Boseman died, one particularly tasteless meme that started going around were parents whoring out their children by throwing terrible collections of action figures around them and declaring that this was an action figure funeral for the Black Panther.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, dude, I have so many examples of this I could show you. It made me sick.
Yikes.
And what made me sickest were the turnouts at these funerals. Now, Paul... I take a lot of flack for announcing Fortnite as my go-to where my video game tastes begin.
I'm sure.
Because it is spiritually, as some brilliant talking head said long ago, like some kid playing with all of his action figures at once, and you just kind of want to beat him up for it. Yeah, I know. I revel in that now. That's my religion, Paul.
Right. Okay.
Bring it on! But at any rate, in that same fashion then... I think you can see where I'm going.
Yeah, no, I can.
Now then, these tasteless action figure funerals.
Yeah.
Now, it's these parents, they're whoring their kids out. That's very, but if you're going to have the stones to take this picture and share it to the world, at least make sure your kid has a turnout of heroes and villains who make sense at this most august occasion. I don't want to see two Thanoses, a Hulk, Wonder Woman,
a Power Ranger,
and maybe one of those generic things from like Dollar General.
Colonel America,
Colonel America,
with flying triangular shield.
Action Robert Henry Lewis. He has a hatchet. I kind of am intrigued by that character now. It's the new $1 million franchise. There were a series of memes back when poor Mr. Boseman died of parents whoring out their kids for these Black Panther action figure funerals. Very tasteless stuff. There'd be a dead action figure representing poor Black Panther, and then every figure that the kid owned, whether it matched or not, maybe a dead cockroach or a can of silly putty to represent generic Mourner X. It was all very tasteless. You don't invite silly putty to Chadwick Boseman's funeral. Much less his plastic avatar. How is this any better? The preview is 3/4 a funeral procession.
Yeah, it's
and then we get to see an unmercifully tiny sliver of the movie that could have been Pepe Lorego Swims the Blues.
Well, the Namor stuff. Well, because before Chadwick Boseman's passing, the movie was supposed to be Black Panther versus Namor, like Wakanda versus Atlantis. I think the movie was
Namor. More people have probably heard of Pepe, but Namor, of course, is a superhero created by Bill Everett in the golden age of comic books, who has remained active mostly on, but on and off ever since. Active throughout the golden age, teamed up with Captain America, or teamed up or against Captain America or the Human Torch, an anti-hero character. Never a mainstream darling, but a villain when he needed to be, and a hero the same. He had morphed into more or less an honorable anti-hero over the course of his long career. Due to, in my mind, some narrative missteps, he is also identified as the first mutant in the Marvel Universe, giving him the crossover into modern genre.
That's not true anymore. It's Ms. Marvel now.
Yes, well, I think that's a whole other terrible neighborhood, isn't it?
That's Kamala Khan, but no.
Oh, my heart. And, but yes, historically, he was your first mutant. And when he re-enters the Marvel Universe in the early 60s, in the pages of the Fantastic Four, as I say, honorable anti-hero / villain, most of his time as a supervillain is in the pages of FF. You see the bonds of community, weave him in and out of those properties, as well as his own solo series. Because people seem to enjoy knowing this sort of thing, I will tell you that even though I would take a bullet for any of my beloved FF, or the good doctor, though he doesn't need it, his armor will take the shot. There are certain aspects of every franchise you either swing into or not. I like to think all good-hearted X-Men fans hate the space stuff in their heart of hearts. Paul, you're a good-hearted X-Men fan. Do you hate the space stuff, buddy?
I do, but I like the summer stuff.
You know what?
I like Corsair.
You just answered that 100% correct.
There we go.
Your X-Men fan rating has just gone up to 187.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I like the Starjammers and Corsair and stuff.
Yeah, but just go away, rest of it.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah,
I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's a little bit because the Shield. I like it in concept, but then it's too much.
Yeah, sure. I like communism in concept, but potatoes.
Well, Namor, I think you're going that Namor was your...
Namor is indeed.
Hurl it into the sun aspect of the FF.
Yeah, I will actually, for the sake of those of you who are taking notes, here are the official FF things that I so don't care about. You can take them away from any version of the FF, and I'm not going to bat an eye.
Yep. Go.
Namor, the Inhumans.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's right. And yes, I agree with you, as a person out there who's gnashing your teeth. Crystal was indeed a perfect love interest for Johnny.
I was just going to say that.
She could have been a mutant. It would have given the FF and the X-Men this weird family bond we're always trying to establish with stupid Franklin, organically of its day. It would have been really neat. Didn't happen, I'm very sorry. Don't need the Inhumans. Okay, now get ready, and this is the thing. I hate the presence of magic in anybody's books but Thor and Doc Strange. So Agatha Harkness is always a character that it's like, yeah, fine, go to somebody else's book. I don't like you in my book.
Now, as much as people think...
You smell, you old dust woman.
As much as people think I know...
Go kiss Aunt May.
As much as people think I know everything about comics, do you know... I have no idea what possessed them to create Agatha Harkness.
Oh, I do.
I know they needed a nanny for Franklin, but why was she a witch lady?
Now, as I understand it, now I'm no Roy Thomas. I can't just make up stories. But as I understand...
Nice.
See, but I'd invite him in. I'd give him a little chocolate. I say, you sit there while I sit beside you and tell you that you're a terrible parasite. And it all would have happened without you.
Right.
That's kind of the most beautiful, horrible thing I've ever said, Paul. I deserve like a little crown. But anyway, as I understand it, it's this. By that time, the weird collaborative relationship between the Masters had reached a point where totally independent of Stan.
Yes, yeah, I knew that.
Kirby's making up his story, drafting his board. Stan is doing a weaker job than the norm.
Right.
In trying to do half the Marvel style to fuse a story in, despite himself in a way.
Right.
But coming out of that time, and this, there are far wiser people that can speak to this with a lot more dignity. I'm going to be glib about it. Kirby was going into a very esoteric cultural mindset and place when he was leaving Marvel. He was part of that weird creative Haight-Ashbury kind of generation of hippie weirdo mystics that you can assign varying levels of paranoid consideration to, and it's really cool stuff. I mean, Magneto and the Titanium Man, the story of how that song came to be, and his relationship with Wings and all that.
Yep, that's cool.
That as his star was rising, he really did enjoy this cool, weird third act, and the whole DC thing was, timing-wise, part of that, Yeah. So, make no mistake, I'm not coming out with some sort of insane, and that's why we should be afraid. It was like, no, that was a strange, kooky, hippie beat kind of time for him. And one of the things that comes along with that is a fascination, in his case at least, with what was then a fascination to everyone, the weird, the esoteric.
Oh, sure.
The mystical, the magical, the creepy, getting tuned on to the big secrets, man. But it's a matter of record that the paranormal was something that turned him on. I want to say that the various heritage books, and I don't want to create product that isn't there and send anyone down blind alleys, but wasn't there a collection recently of the weird paranormal study stuff that he did by I think IDW might have collected it.
Oh, yeah. He did stuff that I'm blanking on.
And it is one of those things. Like I said, my juice is the big two. It's Marvel and DC, a lot of periphery, but I know there was a lot of that. Behold the world of Satan, and it's in his stark Kirby terms that he was painting all of his stories that time. And you see a lot of it in the DC work.
Yeah, the demon stuff.
Anytime anyone is talking about the Beyond, always drops Satan in huge, the same script.
Right.
He was going for some sort of mnemonic binding between materials. Really neat stuff that you can appreciate on a variety of different levels. And creepy, man. Something scary about his work in that time, too. And I think that's really the answer to it, is that he's drawing, so what could be weirder than this nasty witch woman, gnarly, creepy witch? She truly is terrifying in that first appearance.
In all the Kirby drawn stuff, she looks really weird.
For those who might not have read the original story, it's when the matter of finding a nanny for Franklin comes up, and they can't find anyone who's going to be appropriate to protect the child from their many enemies. And as if to reflect this, the Frightful Four show up to cause some issues during the time of trial. As the story is presented, and as I can imagine, Kirby imagined it as he sat down, she kills the Frightful Four. The way those illustrations are given us, she wipes out the Frightful Four. I will tell you all, and this is someone who loves some of the Frightful Four, that should have been the case. There could have been no better end for any of those three characters' fates. Think of all the terrible Sandman stories we've had. But anyway, so that's where it came from. So, it was in the best, so that's where it all kind of oozed out of.
But you hate all that magic,
I hate magic anywhere other than in something that invariably brings in Doctor Strange.
That's fair.
It's my thing. But like I said, the divine stuff, Thor, you can have magic.
Right.
But let's not get too deep in those weeds. It's just enough to mention.
So basically, Wakanda Forever has Namor using magic. You're gonna lose. So
I don't really care. So when that would bother me more than Namor not being in the movie and just calling Pepe Namor, because I don't know what this character is if it's a Namor, because it's not even a question of changing his origins. I don't care. You could make Namor whatever thematically. You could make him Norse. You could make him African. You could make him a lava person if you have a story that supports it. But there are real problems of cultural appropriation in the mixed narrative, and that's the thing that bothers me. Speak to it if you would.
It's a very weird thing for them to be like, look how we're being diverse. He's Hispanic. And he's like, no, he's not Hispanic. He's indigenous. Because it's supposed to be a lost civilization that they're trying to pass off as Mayan. It's clearly Aztec.
In my mind, it's the same issue.
And for people saying, why would that matter? Because the Aztec civilization is not a civilization you would want to promote.
Correct.
In terms
It's
of like
Tuesday. Crush another 15 babies with this pestle.
Right. It's a lot of the Mexican gangs use Aztec imagery and tradition.
There are a variety of different narratives that you, as the shovel that delivers this product into America's mouth, might want to consider.
And again, it's a weird. Okay, so it isn't Atlantis. I've heard it's not Atlantis. It's going to be some.
It's a different name.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of keeping that whole thing at arm's length these days. But I'm not positive what it is, but it's out there to find.
But this is the definition of cultural appropriation.
I agree,
and
I feel it's two-ply. I'm with you 100%.
It's they're using a name like Namor and a concept like Namor to sell their shitty idea of Machu Picchu sunk in the ocean. And the Kree and Atlanteans are there.
And this is what pisses me off too, right? Is like, if I'm going to meet them halfway, if let's say they cared enough to answer what you just asked.
Right.
And they come back with, well, we're trying to build a world, whatever, da-da-da. Again, you paid billions of dollars to buy a world.
Oh, yes, I 100% agree.
There are so many characters of all shades of the cultures that you're either mistakenly marrying to this thing or intentionally marrying to it.
Yep.
You have cities of gold. You have El Dorado. You have proto-Spanish cultures in nations that never existed.
There's a lost Incan city they thought had survived. I think it's Incan. I'm blanking on the name, but like that was a big thing for a while.
Different franchises each have had different... and it's literally this rainbow of diverse cultures, in many cases with very little bond between each other than the inability of the world to recognize the difference between them.
Right.
This is a moment that isn't served by creating more brand confusion.
No, and again, Namor, again, you could have cast the same exact actor could have been Namor.
Of course.
And no one would be complaining about it.
But I mean, obviously, Atlantis is lost. It's Pepe Lorego's game.
Well, right, and for people who don't know, Namor. The reason I think, and we've talked about this off mic, I think they're doing this because they can't change any Kirby or Lee stuff without the fan backlash or whatever. So Bill Everett things are a little bit more open. It makes me sad,
but I think that's I'm sorry, I spoke over that a little bit.
And it's like Namor is the second Marvel character. It's Human Torch, then Namor, right?
Yeah.
His name is literally Roman spelled backwards.
Correct.
Atlantis is a Greek concept created by Socrates. It's like this is like you're now in the weeds of Chinese grandmas being cast as Abraham Lincoln. Have you ever heard this? It's the whole like you could be diverse, and I'm all for you can make your Hamiltons or your multi-ethnic Cinderellas because it's all different. And it's all that's the point of the product of the art. But when you start saying I'm making a historically accurate Gettysburg, I've cast a 90-year-old Chinese woman as Abraham Lincoln. That's the same thing. You're now like confusing you're confusing what it is for a weird reason that is just trying to check a box off.
I think if you don't mind, I think that maybe I should go get my wallet because I'd like to pay you $5 for this. I dare say IP.
The
Chinese.
I did not.
Link and
no, I did not come up with it.
I think it's a number one idea.
No, it's someone else came up with it.
I'm thinking comic proof of concept.
No.
To big screen is probably about 4 weeks.
It's like a debate. It's like a debate example that's been used a lot.
I don't know. This sounds pretty proprietary to me. I think we've got something
Maybe we'll
here.
Talk about it.
All right, thank you.
But even Namor, like this guy isn't even like Namor's supposed to be like huge, like Aquaman huge, like Jason Momoa, and he's not.
I think I'm a little more forgiving. I think, but
me too. But
nah. It doesn't really capture the look. The extremity, obviously, what are we getting all this through? We're getting it through toys and weird spoilers and things, and a handful in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's out now.
Which is not to say that when we get this thing, he's not gonna like take all this bullshit off, all these feathers and I don't know, bird puppets and whatever that he is apparently wearing all over himself.
The gauges and the lip gauge.
And maybe that all comes off. He looks, totally accurate, and you have that moment of, now it looks like the character that I kind of like, all right, but not. And, I hear that wonderful Keith fellow wants to shoot him into the sun, so yay, Pepe.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't really know this is serving much. It's kind of sad. They're going to name check half a dozen Atlantean characters, so 9-year-old Keith Field, hey, it's me. It's your buddy, 49-year-old Keith. You listen to me very closely. I want you to get a knife. No, not today. Not today, little one. I would be just over the moon to know that Atuma,
it's not Atuma,
one of the proud stalwart villains of the FF franchise, who I'd rather have him in the FF franchise than Namor, was going to be on a movie screen. And I look at this man wearing this giant bone helmet, makes him look like a duck. And I think, no, this was not Namor. This is too much silly. This was Pepe Lorego's time. Disney stole it from him.
And then in this movie, and this is a little bit box office math here, I do think Wakanda Forever is probably going to make a lot of money.
Of course,
that's
powerful mathematics there.
But it's not going to hit $1 billion.
I would have needed my slide rule.
They're gonna want $1 billion out of this.
Of course.
And it's going to be a Thor. I think it's going to be a Thor: Love and Thunder situation where it's going to
outperform whatever comes before it.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to do what they want.
Word of mouth is going to be, it was too depressing.
Yeah.
Lonnie started the nod off.
But we'll see. That's coming out in November 11th.
Like right around the friggin' corner.
Yeah, it's
that sad conversation. Some guy cries from the other side of the supermarket. Hey, you guys talking about Pepe Lorego? He swept the blues for all of us. And if that's the legacy of Wakanda Forever, then I say, rest in peace, King. Now, the next, we have a new royal family. Now, I think the next, we talked about the Ant-Man thing. Do you really have much expectation for the Ant-Man movies? The other two were just wet farts. That's right, I said it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're going to get out of them. But the next trailer they showed was She-Hulk.
Oh, yes.
Which they
the chronology is worth establishing. Oh, go ahead, because you got to see my reaction to that trailer live.
So She-Hulk did a couple things. They fixed her to make her a bit more muscular and not as weird looking. It's still Uncanny Valley, but that's what you're going to get.
Right.
But they also showed their hand and be like, we're going to put in a crap ton of supervillains.
And now you understand.
And that's what we're selling in this on.
The power of what happened to me when I watched beside our dear friend Paul this trailer. He had seen it, I had not. And I'm watching this lovely body supporting this featureless fish head, because there are no real lines of definition on She-Hulk's face.
I don't remember there being a fish villain in She-Hulk's trailer.
Yeah, she was there, man, and it kind of grossed me out, and I was depressed, and I was like, well, this is what they fixed it to, fuck this thing. And at that point, I did not have the breaking news that the effort is now to disavow the Thor film, because I was about as dead with this stuff as I could get. But then, as Paul has very quickly and humanly suggested, I heard the laughter of a sweet little angel. His name is Bruno Horgan, the first and long dead Melter. And he giggled, look at all of our friends. And I looked at the computer monitor, and there they were. A who's who of supervillains and comic accurate costumes, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like
a lot.
Christmas.
It's a lot, and it makes
the Matador, Paul.
Yeah, Man-Bull.
Oh, and Man-Bull sitting right next to him. The problems they must have.
The team wrecking crew, because they are
now you're ruining my mood, because that's the thing, is that I was so happy, and then everything was sad.
Kids, they look young. They look really young in that trailer.
What's going on with these strange street kids? Is this Madripoor? Or is that what we're dealing with here? Is it? Oh no, is that Crowbar? Why is that Crowbar though? You should stop not being Marvel.
Yeah.
And there they were, the wrecking crew. You're welcome. You're welcome, America. We couldn't even give them to Loki. I mean, they were originally Thor characters.
Well, this is where you have not. I've already given up on this in Marvel 10 years ago.
Wait.
They do not care about villain origins or villain stories at all.
All they keep telling me is they don't care about Keith Fields. Well, here's the thing, people. Jack, you just listen good. You're lucky I care about you. Because I just remember the soapbox I stood on a week ago, and man, the hate. You better hope this Takeru wasn't he an anarchist looking to bring us all down. No, I would say of this whole thing that the villain thing definitely has me in the seat. But the Wrecking Crew thing breaks my heart.
Yeah.
You know, it's that case of why do it if it's going to change so very very
don't care about their villains.
They don't care about their villains, but I'll tell you who does. And that's, my preamble was a little awkward there. I apologize. Because this is the thing. I learned recently, someone cares about the Wrecking Crew more than me. And that man's name is Paul Santos. Because Paul Santos has the best Wrecking Crew pitch. Because Paulie and I spend hours sitting around just throwing pitches at each other. I'm polite to him. I listen to his pitches, and I even offer things from time to time, like, make that stronger, this. And you know what he does? He turns to me and says, shit, yeah, you're right. Does he ever say thank you? No. You know what he says to me? You're a monster and I hate you. That's all I hear on a constant loop.
That's the professional thing to say.
Oh,
that's when you're unsolicited notes.
Very well.
Every writer will say that to
Thank you, senpai.
All right. Just so you know.
The lessons. No. And during one of these points, he said, well, you know what my pitch for the Wrecking Crew is? And he told me. And I normally would I would say something like, well, yeah, that's fine, but, give Thunderball a robot hand. And now you're talking. But in this case, Paul, that's a perfect pitch. It leads to years of stories or just sets a new course. You can save the Wrecking Crew. Now,
I probably could.
Pops, I'm here to tell you, I'm not sharing the pitch. I can't do that because the world deserves this Wrecking Crew story. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wrecking Crew.
Tweet at Marvel, and you'll get to hear it.
So the Wrecking Crew, for those who don't know, one of the perennial villain organizations in the Marvel Universe, not trying to guide anyone's heart. I'm a villain guy. I hate the Wrecking Crew. They are just, in the books, I'm saying, there are so few compelling, consistent uses of them.
And you remember that era, I'm going to say the Bendis era, to make it shorthand of comics. Early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. For some reason, everybody used the same group of villains for their books. And it was like the Wrecking Crew and the Rhino.
Electro.
And Electro. And you're just like reading it and like, why are the Daughters of the Dragon fighting the Wrecking Crew right now? Oh, they beat them in 3 pages? That's cool. This is a team for anybody who doesn't know comics. The Wrecking Crew are Thor villains, given powers through Loki. That's a shorthand of it. Yes. They have beaten the crap out of the Avengers back in the day.
That's the big problem.
They're now jokes, and it's very annoying. It's very, very annoying.
One of the problems with just Marvel's villain stable in general is when you do tighten and decide upon this is our stable of villains that get thrown at this sort of hero or this sort of scenario, it's neat and gratifying that you see that recurrence of certain characters. Yeah. Because that's world building, right? And that's what provides you a spine. It's why we all know who Mysterios have been over the years. But if there's a lack of consistency in the handling, and if they're used too much in spite or despite it, they become doubly cursed and you just want them to go away forever.
And it happens in Marvel way more than DC.
Way more. For the very reasons that build up those heroes, I think. Or those characters.
Yes, yeah.
And the Wrecking Crew is one, that I think we both agree that you give any character the right pitch, you can save them. I think your pitch saves the Wrecking Crew. But I'm here to tell you there are very few pitches that do.
Oh, no, I think
because they have been so inconsistently handled over the years. Yeah. There are now like 12 members of the Wrecking Crew because they've all had kids.
Oh, the kids thing, I hated that.
And that's just an ultimate example of some modern sloppy storytelling. But let's not get too deep into that. It's enough to know that even though they might not be darlings, they're recognized as one of the cars in the grand fleet, the corporate car fleet, that is the villain pool, the villain car pool of the Marvel Universe.
And I think in this show, you'll just see She-Hulk beating the hell out of them, which is like, okay,
and when
fine.
I said that bit about Mad Report or whatever I said, I said it intentionally because I think that's where it'll somehow go.
Right.
It makes sense. It'll be like a power broker kind of thing. Because but it shouldn't be. It should be at least Loki involved.
Listen, it's 10 episodes, so it's going to touch, I would think, a lot of stuff. I really think the majority of the trailer we saw is going to be the first episode.
There likely won't be world building in terms of the villains anyway. It'll probably be just like there's a gang
they're
called the Wrecking Crew.
They're windowed. Yeah. It's something that I had this argument with people at DC. I hate how the CW shows treat A-list villains as villain of the week stuff, and I'm like, what?
We should do like a whole talk about the CW shows because this point
they're ending soon. Flash just announced their ending.
It's a mercy. It's a mercy.
Short 13. It's all Discovery. Discovery's like, get rid of this.
Good Discovery. Good. So just clean things out and let's all just start fresh. But don't you lose those people. That Grant Gustin, he's a Flash who's not murdering anyone that we know of. No one is being held in a vault by little Grant. It's Gustin, right?
That movie's Grant Gustin. Yes, Grant Gustin.
Grant, you're a good boy, and
that
for nothing.
That Ezra Miller.
If you ever want to stop on by.
That Ezra Miller movie, though, is still coming out.
Well, because apparently we want to reward the guy who actually does have people captured in a bunker somewhere. Yes. Well, we'll finish with Marvel chatter first of their convention announcement.
Daredevil's in the end of the She-Hulk trailer.
I think it's delightful.
Viva
Charlie Cox.
In the gold.
Charlie, I don't want to stop on by.
It's a gold and red costume, which is cool.
Yeah, awesome. There's very little they could do that won't be interesting to me. Just fix her face, please. Hey, my sweet green waifu deserves better than what we got that fish creature.
Well, we got 2 weeks.
Well, they made Thor: Love and Thunder in 2 weeks. I think. I think we should be able to fix that face. So there was that. There was
trailer was there? I'm sure we're getting yelled at by a million people right now.
There was some acknowledgement of the X-Men cartoon, right?
Oh, they showed stills.
X-Men 90 whatever.
97.
I know you are. I'm curious, if not excited.
Magneto is in the X-Men costume.
The purple one with the M.
Big M. Love it.
I think that's neat that's what they're doing.
That awful Spider-Man show that everyone now hates immediately is hilarious.
Sophomore year.
This thing,
if you guys didn't know that cartoon was a lie, it's on you. That's what I say. Obviously, it was never going to be what they said it was. It's in continuity stories about his early career. How is that going to happen, friends? You can't announce a villain in it before he appears in a movie.
You know who's one of the villains of the cartoon? I just saw this during the scene.
What's that?
It's Dr. Octopus.
Oh, that sounds about right.
And it's like, what you guys are, and I think Sony has officially come out and said, this is not in our continuity. So this is another.
Yeah, I don't feel like we're taking a dump on anybody. That cartoon was a lie to begin with. Most of these cartoon things have been a lie.
Right.
Groot is not in any continuity. It's just a thing.
The one that trailer came out.
The Xmas thing.
Yeah, that trailer.
Did you all figure out the mystery villain?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Who's the mystery? I don't know who the mystery villain is.
Oh, Paulito Margiano Varian. I could practically kick you down to an 86%.
For Groot villains?
For the villain of the Groot Christmas thing. Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell him. You ready for that?
Yeah.
It's the phalanx as affected by the Ultron consciousness.
Oh, I see. No, I think that's a minion. I don't think that's the villain. We talked about this. I don't think that's the villain.
I am willing to sit here and pull every tooth out of my mouth. I don't know what that would do to prove the truth of my words. I will pull every tooth out of both our mouths. Yes, that will do. I stand on Phalanx Ultron.
Do you remember when there was like 3 different alien races that Thanos used as foot soldiers?
I do.
None of them mattered. They were just cannon fodder.
Says you.
They did not matter at all.
Those Sakarans.
The Sakarans, not a thing.
Their faith and belief in the living Earth was a major character in that Marvel phase for me.
Not only did you never see them in Thor Ragnarok, they were hiding. They never mentioned the Collector or the zoo. Gamesman.
They were at the zoo talking about the Grandmaster. We didn't have to know because we were watching the exciting movie. They were at the zoo, and the Black Maw, Ebony Maw character came. You must come and solve the master. I didn't even have a sense that we ever had them as a unified announced villain. And then I remembered I had the Lego set from the first Guardians movie, and that Hanju, Interesting Eyes, whatever that actor fella's name is, Damon Hanju, is that his name?
Oh yes, yeah.
Was in fact a Sakaran.
That's not true.
100%.
No. I mean, you're right.
Oh, you're saying
Marvel,
in terms of representation.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
No, he is what they have chosen to hang that random name on, and that's even more confusing.
And
for him to show up in What If as that character.
It's crazy.
What's happening?
Yeah, what if...
and they work for Thanos somehow then?
What if season 2...
No Sakaran!
What if season 2 is going to be a train wreck?
Better off with that baby that hatched out of the dead planet in the book. I hated that, but I'll take that over whatever the hell the movies gave me.
Right.
What else did we...
Marvel movies. A lot of the time, they did more of a timeline. Like Blade is an official movie because there's a back and forth on it being a TV show.
Vampires, woo! These are things I don't care about in Marvel.
Avengers Dynasty or Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars.
Yes. The next year of Glib Glab and Glub.
What do you think the lineup of the Avengers is going to be? Because it's going to be pretty crappy.
It's going to be a weird selection of multiversal heroes who are getting like slaughtered, and we're laughing. We're like, oh, this is fun. I can't wait to buy all the merchandise because that's what this movie is for. And you're going through it. Like, oh, Haley Atwell, you're so hot. Oh, you're so funny, Howard. And we're waiting because every hero has died over the course of every movie that has led to the course of this one. And these replacement heroes are starting to get butchered, and all hope is lost. And Kang laughs, ha! And then the gates of Valhalla open. Yes, those are your new Avengers. And then there's going to be a whole movie of every hero fighting against an army of Chinese Grandma Abraham Lincolns.
Which, as amazing as that would be, the whole Valhalla thing, I have to say, I'm like not on board with at all.
Paul, I'm going to get you there, baby.
No, I don't think that's a thing.
One wing flap at a time.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
Welcome.
So, what do you think their lineup is going to be?
Okay, so all right, more to your point, it would have to be Thor,
Captain Marvel.
Whichever members of the Guardians have not been canceled or made themselves toxic. See, I didn't choose a side there.
Okay.
So the raccoon.
Right, and the tree.
And the tree. They can be some Avengers. Possibly the Dinklage Dwarf and the Two-Gun Kid. That is my proposed lineup.
So not a lineup that's ever gonna
I have
happen.
no idea, Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be the Haley, little Haley, because
as Hawkeye,
because of course you're not going to put her on a team with the Abomination somewhere. So she's in your Avengers. Are we?
Yeah.
I don't even know that's interesting. It's just gross.
There's also another Thunderbolts was announced, but we knew they kind of leaked that. I think
Thunderbolts will be the collection of all the anti-heroes that the Disney Plus shows have generated, and the Abomination.
And then FF at the end of it.
And the Abomination, who will be figuring in the She-Hulk series as well, it's worth mentioning.
Oh, and we forgot, not to bring it back to Wakanda Forever, the Reddit leak. That I'm thinking more and more it could be real because Disney won't acknowledge it. Is the Doctor Doom image?
Well, folks,
it looks weird, right? Have you seen it?
Are you referring to the Conquistador?
No. The real.
Real image looks credible.
Not the fan made.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that. I actually just saw that today, as a matter of fact. And maybe. I just, at this point, I'm soured enough that I'm like, I'll peep what you come out with, but I don't know. It's just everything feels so weirdly phoned in and artificial. I'm so underwhelmed.
As much as I
can't rise to the challenge.
As much as I didn't love the Wakanda Forever trailer, I could tell the tone because Thor Love and Thunder that tone is completely
mocking,
crazy. Yeah, it's a crazy tone. Yes. And yes, this is a movie Where Christian Bale is in a completely different film than everyone else.
And I'll agree with that too. But yeah, I know what you mean, but is it a case of mistaking a return to dignity with just the inherent tone that is going to be expected and accepted that you immediately engender to what you're witnessing when you know what you're looking at? If that's not too babbly or pretentious.
No, I get what you're saying, but
I don't know how much of it is accidental versus purposeful.
So if you go down all the movies, which I don't remember how many there are, they definitely separate into a
pattern almost.
A pattern of like they have a bunch of serious quote unquote movies.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of jokey, kiddie, campy crap.
Yeah.
There aren't as many of those as you'd think. It's like the Ant-Man movies, Guardian movies. Yeah. I mean, they're not. That's where they live.
Right.
The two Thor movies that just came out.
There's a certain verve.
I would even argue
to any of them, like the Spider-Man movies, tonally, share something with Iron Man.
Right.
But you can argue against, say, Cap. Right. There are tonal shifts.
So
of course.
I think Wakanda Forever, I think it's funny that the movie coming out after Wakanda Forever is Ant-Man. So we might be going back to a campy.
I think it's So speaking to the hope that you're putting forward, I would have less hope, but I would certainly accept the idea that this will be a film of gravity, almost as if to say, we just tried a lot of experimental noise. You enjoyed what you did, you left what you didn't. Now this is a certain call to order.
Yeah.
Maybe you now use that breath, even if it doesn't rise to what I feel was a certain level of responsibility, to lead with dignity with this thing.
Oh, yeah.
In an obvious way. I don't necessarily know that they have, but I certainly won't know if I never watch it.
Yeah. And I think I'm not saying the movie's going to be.
I stand ready to have my heart moved in this case.
And I don't expect it to be
one way or another. It will make things more serious.
Right. It will not be Thor during the middle of a battle. Jane. As the building goes on fire and collapses.
Making jokes to the children that have all been kidnapped and threatened with physical damage and death.
I did laugh at that though because it was so messed up.
Because you have no heart.
It was so messed up.
Let me kill this animal in front of you, children. Thor's making jokes about relationship problems while this is happening. I need an adult.
Didn't he think so in the movie Thor is able to communicate with the kids through like some sort of like holographic telephone type of thing, and he thinks he's off the line. He's like, they're all gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very like, what am I watching? It's like if you were watching Futurama.
It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something you don't gotta think about. I like when I want to think about things.
You're better than that, people. Better than that.
The movie is underperforming again.
With me, Paul.
When we do Paul's box office bonanza.
Oh, dude!
We'll break down
my life is now a ticker tape countdown to that moment. I need to hear the twangy, old school like calliope music that has to just accompany those words whenever they are strung together.
Right,
that's content creation, people.
Yeah.
Every quarter through the looking glass now.
Every quarter go through the comic book movies and be like, this is why this made money, this is why this one didn't make money.
Welcome to Mr. Paul's Wild Ride. Now, okay, so Wild Rides, then you had the DC announcements out of San Diego, and ultimately, I gotta tell you...
What DC announcements?
I think that's the end of the DC announcements. We got to see the extended preview for Black Adam.
I didn't think, when you're sad, I literally saw... Listen, wait,
when you're sad.
Listen, when, I saw a trailer for Wakanda Forever that literally was a eulogy.
Trailer for a funeral.
And it made me feel bad. I'm like, I was sad that he died.
Yeah.
With all the lack of DC announcements, or the announcements we did get, it made me feel worse than that. So I don't know if I'm a horrible person or
I don't know.
WB just doesn't know what they're doing.
I was more excited about that silly, terrible video game cinema of a preview for Black Adam than I was any of the Marvel stuff.
He got booed.
I know, because it's bad. And I like a truly bad movie. It looks truly bad.
And again, Hollywood speak, Deadline is a very reputable newspaper entertainment magazine.
Okay.
Now their website, deadline.com.
Sure.
They had on their ironclad rumor mill thing, Henry Cavill going to Hall H. We do not know why, but he's going there. You know who didn't show up? Henry Cavill. Do you know what The Rock said when he was asked, are you gonna? Who would win in a fight with you and Superman? He said, depends on who's playing Superman, and the man got booed because WB, for some reason, can't just give Henry Cavill $100 million and call it a day. It's insane at this point.
This is a terrible Shaggy Dog story.
It's an easy home run that they refuse to do.
I hate it. This is so sad.
And we got no announcements, right? I'm not forgetting.
No, there was that extended preview.
Zero announcements.
And you know, they might involve some sort of unpleasant politics or whatever between various entities, and that now DC wants to do its, what's it calling its little proprietary event there? I shouldn't say little, that sounds demeaning. It's called like Superdome?
Yeah, but
Nerd Bubble?
The Fandome.
Fandome,
yeah.
Yeah! See, I gave back what I took from it.
The problem with that is that they've never announced anything at Fandome. They've shown stuff.
Well, we saw those terrible trailers for those confused Batman games, the Suicide Squad game and the Gotham Knights game. We've talked about them previously, but that feels like it was 7 lifetimes ago.
I know that
that's the last thing I remember from the Fandom.
I know Disney. Oof. I know Disney has their D23 in a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
But I don't know when Fandom happens. I feel like in the fall.
Maybe the fall. Yeah, fall sounds right.
So they'll announce a Superman movie
at the Dome. Yeah, because otherwise they would just be the worst ever at casting politics based on what we see in the media.
So let's just say, all jokes aside.
Hello, I am Henry Cavill. I'm going to go play Wolverine over here unless you tell me not to.
I ain't telling you nothing.
I think I'd jump it off a bridge.
We're a dynasty. You do whatever you want, you man.
So next year,
that's what I assume goes on in Hollywood every day. Between these the modern day Warner Brothers or the androids that encase the original brothers' brains, and their breakfast conversation with a man who should be cast as Superman moving forward.
We would be better off if they were probably still in jars running the studio. Yeah, because next year, with all kidding aside, it's Aquaman 2, that horrible Flash movie
with that madman,
and that's it, right? Am I forgetting anything? No, right?
No, Shazam.
No, that's this year.
Oh, that's sooner.
We got that. Oh, the Shazam trailer.
Shazam, we did it.
San Diego Comic-Con.
We had to go backwards, but we got to the other thing.
So
Shazam movie. Oh no!
So for them to get a movie out for 2024, they have to start filming either the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Poor Billy.
That needs to be announced quickly. And there's radio silence from WB and friends. It's very disconcerting.
I have to say, in the same way that every time X-Men movies have been getting made, they're in such a rush to tell a story about a character named Phoenix because they're all dumb. You don't do that. Did we really have to go from, Billy gets his powers to we have a Black Adam movie? I say the nay. It wasn't the marketing pivot to make.
Yeah, I mean,
Black Adam as villain, yes, but not standalone movie.
So
I don't want to be that guy, but I got to be that guy because it turns out that's who I am.
No, but you're not wrong. But there's a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah,
things.
I guess
For whatever reason, The Rock wanted to play Black Adam. Jeff made Black Adam into a Doom-like character to elevate him.
As the story goes, it was a story beat. It was actually defined that way by Ordway during Power of Shazam, and Jeff loved it and made it happen.
Right. Yeah. I am unbelievably fearful how Black Adam is going to fight this Captain Marvel, because that trailer for the second movie, and we haven't talked about the first Shazam movie, but Billy Batson is a teenager who acts like a normal teenager. He turns into Captain Marvel, and he acts like an 8-year-old that is on a Nickelodeon sitcom. And I don't know what happens. Does that lightning bolt fry his brain? It's insane.
I'm going to say that I probably enjoyed the film a little more than you.
No, I liked the film.
Okay.
I do not like the portrayal of Captain Marvel.
I seldom like when an adult plays young. And in the case of this movie, I just accepted that it was going to be awkward and knew that it was a likable actor in the role.
Yeah, but
I tried to meet it halfway.
He's not playing a 13-year-old. He's playing an 8-year-old.
I know.
And in this second trailer, he's still playing an 8-year-old.
I know.
He has to fight The Rock.
I kneel before
Rock
No
could kill
one
him.
wants. Yeah, no one wants to see that movie.
Rock could kill him. Rock's going to be beating up on a baby boy. Because he's a baby face.
Now-
He acts like he's dying.
My pitch, which they will never do.
Paul's pitch. This he'll share.
This is a very just an easy. Remember
Okay.
Age of Ultron? What was
do.
the marketing of that movie? Hulk versus Iron Man.
Correct.
You just do a Justice League movie to make it easy for everybody involved.
Uh-huh.
Whatever the A story is, that's great and fine. You just have a 10-minute, 20-minute sequence of Superman and Shazam fighting Black Adam. Done. You're done. That's your Black Adam fight.
Beautiful.
Do not make a movie called Superman versus Black Adam, for the love of God.
No
because
verses.
That will be terrible.
You don't run straight to Dark Phoenix. You don't run straight to your boss battles.
but Black
and you
Adam-
don't waste the conflict.
But I do think Black Adam, they showed restraint from him not being in the first movie. I think having his own, because he's never going to be in a
You
Shazam
should have.
movie.
My
ever.
feeling was you introduce him as the villain.
Yeah, I agree, but they were
And-
never going to do that.
Well, we should live in a world in which we could take the time to build a universe rather than be in such a rush to do it. For your grotesque meta narratives, you people.
Where did this?
I should be watching
Where did
people fight an evil worm.
Where did the JSA come from?
Hell, in this case, I don't know who those people are.
This is the Zack Snyder universe. So they're never mentioned. They literally say Superman is the first superpowered person they saw.
Oh, but Paul,
Dr.
multiverse.
Fate.
Maybe the reveal at the end is this isn't the same as.
Oh, I know the after
as
credit. I know the after credit scene. Yep. It's-
Spoiler. Apparently, that's not the case.
That's not the case. It is solid. I will not get into trouble here.
Are you sharing it?
No, I'm not telling you what it is, but it is.
I was going to say that. That's fascinating. If you're that bold.
It is a definitive statement on where this movie is in terms of the Snyderverse.
Okay.
Whatever.
How it timed together. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a bad beat.
Yeah. So
Dig, Daddy.
I think we're going into the Wonder Woman 84, where no one knew who Wonder Woman was, except that she was on she was on worldwide television, telling you to stop wishing for your dead grandma to not be dead. God, I hate that movie so much, too.
Oh, that was a bad thing.
But that's all DC had announcement-wise.
So but beyond that, there was really no genre adjacent stuff that in my mind was worth talking to.
The D&D trailer actually is the best trailer I saw out of the whole weekend.
Yeah, and that's saying
the
something.
whole weekend. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I as a fan of Sophia Lillis, I will see that movie. And as a, I don't know, passing fan of Dungeons and Dragons, I suppose I owe it to that mimic
I just like
to be there as well.
I like I don't like playing D&D, but I do like lore and mythology. So I want to see where this goes.
And the principle. I think it's one of those things we'll all be bellying up to the bar for.
Yeah, and again, Bard. I think if Chris Pine is playing a Bard, that's great.
Yeah, if we actually to linger on it, I gotta say, I think it looks like a fine and well-spirited and well-intentioned summary of what D&D is. Somewhere in the middle for all of us, and especially for those who are married to it these days.
And I think
it looks cute,
and it's a better. And I'm a big team builder person.
Better than Redbox level,
right?
That's what I will say about the.
You don't
I saw.
have two rogue thieves. Like
I didn't see a Wayans anywhere.
Right.
Those are wounds that are long to scab over. I recognized people. I recognized people in the movie. Oh, that's a celebrity.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel safe. And oh my God, there's Sophia Lillis. I love her
I do like you calling out how the magic user isn't they don't spend a lot of time on the magic user, and you're like, you're the villain. And I think you're right. I think you're 100% right.
There you go.
They showed everybody else but the one magic user kid, and you're like, are you going to be the bad guy? Because I think you're going to be the bad guy.
Welcome to how Keith watches previews. And but that looks fine. I'll be there opening weekend. Of course I will. Too much history to ignore.
But that was it for San Diego.
Yeah,
I know there's other things people are probably yelling about. So
as we transition, then a few days later, of course, we went to our state's now venerable Con of Worth. So I think in bridging the tale of our voyage there, we should make a con announcement spiritually of our own, Paul. For while right now you are confused, I would explain to the good people that the energies they have felt in their lives, surging through them, an unexplained sense of power and enthusiasm that they have used to more or less guide them as they have piloted the highways and byways of this man's America these past few weeks. They may have asked, where is this energy coming from? Why do I feel as though I am living in the best possible timeline? They don't all know. And the answer to that question is this, that there's a miraculous event that has occurred in their lives, and that is that your friend and mine, Keith Charles Field, has been allowed the great honor to steward a local business during its weekend hours of operation. Paul, do you know of what I speak?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, Paul, the word on the street is that we have initiated a variety of exciting new initiatives here around Rat's Nest Studios, but no one of these projects is more exciting to me than my weekend service at Infinite Heroes.
Oh, that's what you're doing at the store all day?
That was it!
Oh.
Yes, I felt it was time for you and them to understand what I've been doing there these past few weeks.
In all seriousness, you're there now, helping out on the weekends.
That's correct.
So everyone could take their complaints directly to Keith. I do not send them my way.
That's what I'm here for. I would tell all of you something, that when Paul opened this place so many years ago, and I had the honor of walking in that empty store and making the considerations of the future and talking about this and that and hearing him talk about the business, one thing that I always knew in my heart of hearts was that whatever he was going to give rise to in that place was going to be a success. And
I'm glad you knew.
Of course I did. I told you that every time we spoke, as I watched you back and forth. If you search your memories, you'll find that this is true. I had no doubt that the time was now. That this valley is a vast one. There are rooms for a lot of hearts, and I knew yours had a place in this marketplace, and the rest is history. And I want to do and have always wanted to do everything I can to see this place grow, and this is me doing that. I definitely come forward with every intention, and I say to all of you that Infinite Heroes is the store we all deserve, and I'll do everything I can to make that experience even better for you. So swears Jambi.
Sweet.
And that all having been said, why make this announcement? Well, now the people understand I am the source of their superpowers that have been dawning throughout all their lives in subtle fashion. But in the spirit of this employ, last weekend we were not at the shop. Instead, we had strict forth to the local convention Terrificon. But we did not travel alone, for nay, we carried all of you in our hearts and heads. But there was a third in our magical assemblage. Some might claim the protagonist of our voyage, for we did not voyage there alone.
Right, no, we did not. So we went up with my wife accompanying us, and we drove all the way to Uncasville, Connecticut, to Mohegan Sun.
Yes.
To enjoy Connecticut. I actually like Mohegan. Oh, seriousness, I love Mohegan Sun more than I do. I don't really like Foxwoods.
Oh,
sorry.
of the two?
I like Mohegan.
Once again, we are in total agreement, Paulito. Total agreement.
I walked into Foxwoods, and I'm born and bred in Waterbury, but I walked into Foxwoods. I'm like, am I in Waterbury right now? I'm like, what's happening? It has a very you're in a mall, and then you're like, oh, now I'm in a casino, and not a good one.
No.
Hopefully, never ask them for sponsorship. Anyway. The Terrificon was pretty good. My wife has been to a bunch of shows with me. She hadn't been to the Connecticut show. You never went to the Terrificon show.
I had not been.
Yeah.
No, my voyages to the Midwest and hell and elsewhere had taken me away during those times. The Terrificon was around.
Mitch puts on a pretty good show. He owns and runs Terrificon, and it was a good turnout. I think it's not at pre-COVID levels because I don't think anything
Right,
really
but
is.
yeah, it's the closest I've been to anything like
full.
that.
Yeah, it's very full.
Yeah, where it felt familiar in a sense because things have just been so ill-attended or ill-represented.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see a balance.
Yes. I thought it was funny, talking some shop talk, how all the comic book dealers I talked to.
Right.
On Friday, the smart ones on Saturday had put their stuff there at 50% off because of people weren't buying as much.
Just to get a momentum.
And it worked on Saturday. I don't know if we talked about it, but when we left on Saturday, things were gone. I noticed wall books were gone, boxes were empty.
Yeah, there was things were brisk.
Yes.
I would say those last couple of hours.
Yes.
It was impressive. That's when I did my purchasing.
Yeah, I was sad there wasn't a really big action figure presence.
No, and
they're there, but not there used to be a booth that was just remember that T-shirt
changing narratives, I suppose. But the hanging bar area.
Yeah, do you remember the T-shirt booth I got lost in waiting for
it was
getting
quite the
my X-Men T-shirts? That they had a booth, not that company, but a different vendor. That was all action figures. You walked in, it was just shelves and aisles of figures.
Wasn't that dreamy boy in the Frankenfurter outfit?
I don't remember.
Your wife did not approve.
No, it really.
It bothered her.
I did see that guy. Yeah.
And her feeling was that if he's going to wear that, then you do something to justify the bodice, or there's nothing there because obviously, and I say no, that's kind of the whole point. And very sassily, I don't care if that's the point. I don't care for it.
Yeah, yes,
the
that's
fashion of it did not appeal. She did not care that it represented cosplay.
Right.
I cared.
She's very.
You're a hot dog, but you better not try to hurt her.
She's a very critical person.
It's part of her charm.
Before I get into more trouble, though, but there was the card dealer, Magic cards and Pokemon, a lot of video game stuff.
Yeah,
so
retro.
I was surprised
that
the action figures were not well represented.
There was the most dreamy flash ring I have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And I immediately wanted it. And I tried to fit it onto my beautiful little skinny man fingers, and it would not fit on any of them. They were missing my size. And here what was so freaking cool about it.
Lana was sad for you. Very sad.
Clicked open, and then inside of it, there was a little pewter miniaturized Flash costume, just like the real Flash. That, of course, would expand upon contact with air and turn into the costume. This would have been my most cherished thing ever.
Yeah.
A ring worthy of marriage just to justify passing it between hands. Alas, it was not meant to be.
Yeah.
Pissed me off. And then you had a similar adventure in the ring pile.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at some Green Lantern rings. They did not have they had a bootleg Kyle Rayner ring where it's his logo. He never had a ring with his logo on it. It's just a different ring.
So it wouldn't have been the coolness of an actual artifact.
Yeah, and now if it was $20, I probably would have bought it.
Sure.
It was $45, and I'm I'm not gonna get that. I mean, the Flash ring totally worth it.
I wanted it so bad.
There was a Legion flight ring.
It was great.
Listen, as much as we're talking praise about this Green Lantern ring, this Flash ring, this Legion ring, it was a prop-ready ring.
Dude.
If the Legion of superheroes existed,
the glisten.
That's what their ring would look like in real life. It was great. It was very good.
Beautiful.
It was gold. It was awesome.
That was the ring that I actually picked up first. And then when I saw the Flash ring next to it, I was like, well, now, hold on. Flash ring. Great Caesar's ghost. There's a uniform inside. Santa!
But that
I was so happy.
Terrificon was really good. I was able to reconnect with a few creators.
Indeed.
Talk to, most of the dealers I don't see on the regular just because I'm at the shop all the time. I don't go to the local shows.
Right.
Some of them do show up to my store, but not all of them, obviously.
And some of these people have said that they will make an effort to possibly even join us here in our infinite conversation.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and so if anybody takes the time, man, we meant it. Come on, and we'll show and night us things.
Right. But I thought it was good. I think you meeting your hero, Dana Dio.
Let me tell you something. It was like magic. I come around the corner, he's there. There's no line, and I said, Mr. D, hello, you don't know me. My name is Keith Field. We shake hands. He's got this big goofy smile on his face.
Yeah.
And I said, you listen to me, my friend. History will decide its heroes and its villains. You are a hero. Because I've waited decades for the Metal Men story you told. That is where your time at DC should be judged. And embrace followed. I love that man.
Yeah,
so we hung.
Yeah.
And as we're hanging, this fella he used to know comes around the corner, and he looked at me and said, wait. He glanced over and said, yeah, that's my boss, Paulie. He goes, yeah. And then I watch as he catches our Paul in a hug, and I knew. This is the truth, my friends. This is magic.
And I was off guard because I had lost you guys because I was talking to somebody else, which I don't remember who it was. And I'm like, where did they go? And I turned the corner, and you're talking to Dan DiDio. And then the man, I was not ready for an embrace. I'm like, what the hell?
And you did actually look like confused.
Yeah.
And you were like laughy, but kind of scared. Why do you know each other?
Right.
And then he's hugging you.
Yeah.
And I said, this is magic, people. This is a moment.
Yeah, it was good. It was good catching.
That's good chat. He's a cool dude, man.
Yeah, and it was a good catch up.
It's always good to see a friendship rekindle. And
Yeah.
it's, to meet a hero and be chatting like that was a wonderful thing. Here's the one thing I'll share from that chat, just because I think people will think it's cool. We're talking about covers, and I said, not to shill or anything, but I got to be honest with you, my favorite comic book cover of all time, which I don't know that I've mentioned up to this point on the podcast, because I'm not an issue number guy, is the issue of the Silver Age run of the Metal Men, which pronounces proudly on its cover, behold the Metal Men, they become they're candles on a birthday cake for a cannibal robot. And all of the Metal Men are trapped on this giant birthday cake, and the cannibal robot, very compelling design, is eating a slice of the cake.
Silver Age, kids.
And I watch my man Dan's face brighten up, and he's like, are you serious right now? And I said, why? He said, that is not only my favorite comic book cover, it's the first comic book I ever bought.
Yeah.
And I said, and that then is why we are brothers.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't even know that.
That's right.
I'm not surprised.
Brothers.
But yeah.
God bless you, Dan. It was wonderful to meet you.
And I do recommend that to people when they go to shows, because surprisingly a lot of my customers don't talk to creators, or they'll get the signature and then scurry off. Which I get it if it's
don't be afraid.
I recommend
at least say hello.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a huge line behind you, be aware of monopolizing that person's time. But if there's nobody around, you could chat them up until you get that vibe that you should be moving on. But it's definitely more than 5 minutes.
We're no heroes,
at least
friends.
5 minutes.
Fact of the matter is, we could all stand to be a little warmer to each other. So don't be nervous. You don't have to sing them a story. You don't have to be a goofball. You don't have to bond over the magic of a cannibal robot. But say hello to these people.
Yeah.
You'll find it a much more gratifying experience.
They'll appreciate it, for sure.
Man.
And that goes for every artists, writers.
Everybody.
Yeah.
We all just people, that's all. But yes, that was a lovely time. There were, let's see. We had an impressive guest, Ellie, didn't we? We had Kevin Conroy was there.
Oh, yeah.
And Tim Daly.
Tim Daly.
We could have had them fight. Batman versus Superman. Didn't even think.
Right.
Super pretty girl. That was the first name that came to mind when I tried to say Adrian.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce. I'm sorry.
And the guy who plays her co-star, that the gay alien on the ship, that if the people on the Orville had a brain, they would shoot him into the sun.
Yeah.
Because his special version of space gay seems to doom the universe every 3 minutes.
It's a little bit weird on that plot point.
In our world, we must destroy every 14th planet we encounter because we're gay.
What? How does that add up? But it's happening. Yeah, the gay guy's a problem.
What was the who was the guy's name that the actor's name that Lana got an autograph from?
Apologies,
sorry,
I forget the journalist's name, but she was going on about this Quartermain from General Hospital and how it was her favorite, and it was her mother's favorite, and he was dreamy. And she wasn't going to go get his signature because it cost money, and so we paid for her to go do it. She's being all bashful, and she went to do it, and she was kind of flustered still, so I walked up. So being Mr. Charm, I had to say something to that dreamy man. And as I looked at him, I realized, oh no, I know who he is, because I used to watch The Bold and the Beautiful when I had cable. He was that scalawag Deacon Sharp. So, I said, well, watch yourself. You may know him from whatever your soap opera was, but I know him as that rascal Deacon Sharp. The finest villain in the past, the most beautiful. And his agent was like, still does play him, I'll have you know. I said, well, I don't doubt it. And then they took their picture. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know who he is. He's Deacon Sharp. Formerly of karate.
He's the he is the bad guy in Karate Kid 3, the kid bad guy.
So she got her picture taken with him, and then when she found out he wasn't the Quartermain she thought he was,
hilarious.
She's like, oh, no, it wasn't good. Burn the picture.
Yeah.
Now everything is terrible. And that is my favorite part of her personality.
Yeah.
Strike it. None of it matters.
Yeah.
Call Mom.
Yeah.
Tell her to disregard my previous message.
Never mind. If anyone goes to a con, Terrific Con should be your first one.
It's
one of my customers.
Very quickly gaining steam as the Tri-State Con, man.
One of my customers.
Who would have thought we'd live to see the day that it's in our backyard?
He's a young man, like 13, 14 years old. His mom is taking him. His first con is New York Comic Con. And I did one of those things where I'm like, dear God, man, like you gotta be ready for this con. And it was just nothing scared him not to go. But New York Comic Con being your first con.
No, my first con was one of those little Stanford cons at the hotel. You acclimate, you find out how it works.
I mentioned to go to the Plainville
show. Learn the rhythm, something like Plainville.
Yeah, I said go to Plainville first, because you got like 3 months before New York Comic Con. Go to Plainville. That's
training, man.
Yeah.
You don't just go on the 10 mile
for those who don't know,
shoes.
The New York Comic Con is the second biggest Comic Con in the country.
Yeah, man.
The first being San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's second because it's off by like a couple thousand people.
You have to have street smarts.
Yeah.
You have to know how to negotiate more than just one hall. You need to know how to move between buildings and avoid panhandlers.
But I believe his mom is originally from New York, so I'm not worried.
And there's the vampire.
There you go. You're fine.
Yeah, you need a
New
rake,
Yorker,
as it were. You need a road warden to find your way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good luck to that young man, but we survived our con, Paul.
I thought it was good.
I think that's a testament to the glory and power that is Team Infinite Heroes.
That's right.
But yeah, it was nice, seeing old friends, seeing other folks throughout the retail quarter,
and the best,
far and wide.
And the best non-comic part of our portion of our trip. The Hash Palace, or
the Go-Go Hash House? Hash House of Go-Go.
Hash House of Go-Go.
Hash House of Go-Go. What an adventure.
I had bacon. I had a waffle with bacon made inside of it.
I believe they called it a bacon waffle, but I can think of another way that might have gone. I of course have my diet, which some describe as an eating disorder. So I just
was the most food I've seen you eat though in a while. I will say
I had turkey and scrambled eggs and some toast. I thought I made a good show of it.
And scrambled eggs. Yeah.
And then there was our dear Queen Paladin, who got the same meal that Adam Richman of Man vs. Food apparently failed to eat. The chicken and waffles. Now,
drives me crazy.
I will have you know, and our audience know, that just before coming to record today here at the studio, Rich and I went to the local eatery after work from our 9 to 5. And Maggie McFly's.
Yes.
Love it or hate it, it's called Maggie McFly's. There you go. That's the unsolicited advertisement.
There you go. Please don't sue us.
I think we're safe. So we went there. I'd heard there were some recent menu changes. I wanted to check it out. So I got the chicken and waffles. The same problem that the Hash House suffered from, for me, existed at Maggie McFly's, and that's they put onions and little vegetable chunklets in the chicken batter.
Oh, I like that, but I get it. I get it.
No.
I get it.
No, friend. No, that's sabotage. That should be illegal no matter who or what you are.
My wife hated that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't like that
Yeah,
either.
and I'm with her, again, in many ways. She's my little sister friend.
We should switch this podcast to a food podcast.
Dude! Infinite Geek Talk. Yeah.
Infinite food talk. No, that's not
No. There's far cuter names than that. But
sure.
If we can't come up with on the fly an instant cute food name, then maybe we're out of it. We're out. That's not our space. That is not our official announcement coming out of this thing.
No, but I will say that
Pepe Lorego is on the move. Hit the shoreline and buckle up, Buttercup. See you next time, Infinite Swim fan. Infinite Geek Talk is brought to you by Infinite Heroes Comics, Cards, and Collectibles in Watertown, Connecticut, and Gorilla Valley Games. Infinite Geek Talk is a Rat's Nest production, recorded and engineered by Rich Johnson in the Rat's Nest Studio.